Gossip in the Grove. What's the gossip? Gossip in the Grove.
Welcome to Gossip in the Grove. I'm your host, Tracy Cunningham.
And I'm your co-host, Scarlett Mayfield.
And today's guest, we've got Shannon Lane, the Military Affairs Director for Christian County. Welcome, Shannon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Nice upbeat music to start it off.
I like that. You like that?
I do. Kind of sets the mood. It's like, hey, kind of get into it. Get happy. Yeah. Let's go. This is Oak Grove. We're growing. Let's get more done.
That's right. That's right. So we're just gonna talk and just kind of podcasty thing. But the first thing I want to ask is, can you give me an overview of your role and the mission of military affairs?
Yeah, absolutely. So military affairs, just kind of give the background, has been around since 1978. It kind of started off as a social thing and kind of get a little bit more involved with some of the key leaders in the community and things, but it has morphed into something so much more over the last couple years, and really started with my predecessor, Christy. But the goal of it is really to advocate for the families and soldiers of Fort Campbell, to be good partners, good community leaders, get them engaged and out into our community so they can call this home, not just a duty assignment to them, but truly a community that embraces them, that they know they can go out to for support, live amongst us, join us for services, join us for events, and just kind of bring them from the corner of our community to kind of the center of the community and mixed in between.
So how long have you been the director of the military affairs?
Well, let's see here. Coming up on 2 years, I guess I would assume I have to go back and look.
And your previous military as well, right?
I did.
You were
I served at Fort Campbell on and off for over 15 years before I retired.
Okay. And you made Christian County your home, huh?
I did. And it's really because of the great partnership that this community has with Fort Campbell that brought me back to here to retire and stay. Yeah. When the decision was made to relocate back to Fort Campbell for the third time, it was immediate. We're making Christian County home. We're not going anywhere. This is it. Last stop. Our kids are going in high school. We're going to graduate right here. We're going to go to college here. My daughter, I'm so excited for her. She's about to graduate Hopkinsville Community College and the high school at the same time.
I did not know you had a daughter that
and
age.
she started school right here on Fort Campbell.
Oh, wow.
Okay. She started school right on Fort Campbell. She's graduating from Hopkinsville or Christian County High School and the Hopkinsville Community College at the same time, and has chose to go to Murray State.
So what is she majoring in? I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, performing arts. And, of course, being dad and being the one that wants to make sure she's successful, it's like, hey, performing arts is a tough career to get into. It's rewarding when you get there. I know it's your passion. Just pursue it. But, baby girl, you got to have a plan, right? Like, why don't we double that up with a degree in some kind of business management, theater management, so that way you can not just pursue your acting and performing arts, but you can also pursue a career in and outside of that same thing. So, I'm telling you, I'm the product of what the Military Affairs Committee is really all about. When you go to Fort Campbell, when you go through the front gate and you see T.C. Freeman gate, T.C. Freeman, when I first came to Campbell the first time, I came knowing I was deploying. I left my family behind, came here to Fort Campbell knowing I was going out the door in less than 14 days. It was known. I showed up, I am processed, I got to my unit, and they're like, you need this, this, and this, and they sent me through like a whirlwind of training because I was taking over a platoon, and out the door I go. In the middle of the night, I'm sitting out there on the tarmac, getting ready to go, and this little old lady came up and gave me a hug and a poppy and put me on a plane. Aww. And all I can remember her saying, I'll see you when you get back.
And that was T.C. Freeman.
A year later, same lady hugged me and woke me home. It was T.C. Freeman. Now, all these years later, I'll be honest, I didn't know who T.C. Freeman was during that time. But I shared that story over and over again everywhere I went for a long time. And I was sharing it here within one of the associations for Fort Campbell. And I said, I can never remember that lady's name. And I always loved it. And I always inspired by her. And they said, oh, that was T.C. All these years. And I was like, I'm going in and out of the gate. That's now named T.C. Freeman. And it was her the whole time.
I knew T.C. for years. We'd go do the Citizens for Fort Campbell, the Church of Citizens for Fort Campbell, and she was just an absolute beautiful woman that loved Fort Campbell, that loved the military. Her and her husband, Bob Freeman.
Which we know we honored right here in Oak Grove with the first Hometown Hero banner. We love the Freeman family. Yep. Such strong advocates. And Tracy, it goes before. We got to thank you as well. You've been a great partner to the Military Affairs
Oh,
Committee.
thank you. I appreciate
The trips to
that.
D.C. are not easy for a lot of people. What they don't know is that the private citizens pay out of their own pockets on their own dimes to go
Right.
do these things a lot
Right.
of times.
Yeah, we
You know?
advocate big time for the Fort Campbell. I remember it was kind of probably the first one that I attended, the DC, and we were advocating so strong for the fencing around it, the
Correct.
big
It was
fencing.
getting everything, making it more of a welcoming community for all.
And it was, and I remember that because I remember going there and we were advocating for that. And within a year, because we were putting it up for the fiscal year,
Yes.
trying to put it ahead.
Trying to get moved up.
Yeah. And it was really, really awesome about how quickly it moved and what we do. Because when you go in there and you meet with the senators or their staffers and stuff, the staffers, I tell you, they are just as important as those senators because you talk to them and they can move things along, talk to the senators and talk to.
Absolutely.
So
we found that our partnership with their staff members is key and
Mm-hmm.
vital. Most of our representatives, and I want to say most, all of our representatives always open their doors to us. They're excited when the MAC comes because they know it's about the care of the community. They know we're not there to sell the next big idea for a business or the next this or the next that. We're not going in there demanding anything of them.
Right.
We're going in there to ask them, hey, we're here. We know we need to take care of these soldiers. We need to take care of these soldiers.
From local, state, and federal government have always welcomed the MAC and the committee that we bring in front of them and really listen to the words. And then they spread those words across the entire community as far as on the official side.
And what's so interesting is because we partnered with the Tennessee as well.
Yes.
So the Tennessee and the Kentucky delegation would always go and, would always at the same time and stuff. And we would have like 32 people from Christian County,
Yep.
the Kentucky side delegation, and in them. And it was so neat because we were on the Kentucky side, advocating for our Fort Campbell while they were on the Tennessee side, seeing their Tennessee senators and staffers and stuff. So it really did help with both of us
Yes.
partnering and coming together and getting a lot of the stuff that Fort Campbell needed done. So, I can be really, really proud of that as well.
Yeah. Trying to just make sure that this community is the best it can, the best home it can be for our veterans
Oh,
and our families.
absolutely, totally agree. And I know that Scarlett had a question for you.
Yeah. So, what are some of the biggest challenges that military families are facing today?
Well, we see the news. We see everything is so unpredictable right now. I was with one of the command groups here recently. I'm going to tell you, they walked out of the division headquarters and said, Shannon, we just came down to mission and we're going out in less than 2 weeks. They kind of knew that something was probably going to come, but for those last minute assignments, regardless if it's here in the States, somewhere else away from your family, or over in Iraq, Afghanistan, Kuwait, any of those places, that time and that absence of that family member has its toll, and it has its toll on it for many generations. The kids that in the military, they're very resilient. They're used to that. The other parent steps up, whether it's mom or dad, sometimes grandparents. I had to rely heavily on my mother and father-in-law to care for the kids at times. Both, my wife in the same boat. She was in the military as well. So when we look at it, those unknowns and unpredictable circumstances really, a regime change and then a policy change. Policy change drove a lot of changes on the border that we've seen over the last couple of weeks. So those, all of a sudden, that was upended from everything is good and I'm going to go to the field the next month or two to nope, I'm going to be gone for the next whoever knows how long, helping secure the border.
Right.
There's that. I'll tell you, our policies and our partnerships, as far as in the community, have made great impacts. Recently, we had Colonel Cody here in charge of the aviation brigade. His wife would share a story about how Cody would turn around and trying to get through school, maybe was on the verge, had great grades, but was on the verge of not graduating just because of how many times they moved following his dad, General Cody, around. I will tell you, I had something in a similar process. I had attended 4 different high schools in 3 years. When you go from one district, especially a district in a state ran by, say, a primary Democratic state to a primarily Republican state, those processes are completely different. The curriculum is vastly different. Um, so
Because they all have different requirements
They
too,
do.
based on the state. So you almost could have credits that are useless in one state.
that's
or,
it. Or you have
Yeah.
too many, like you have too many math classes, but not enough English, not enough science classes or health science classes.
So it is really, I'm sure it's difficult for the kids.
It is.
So how does your office support transitioning service members and veterans?
Really what we do a lot, and it's not just the transitioning service members themselves or the veterans. We primarily focus on them, right? But at the end of the day, we make sure our door is open to their children and their spouses and really try to help them get tied into the community. Some of those things are back to those advocacy efforts we don't talk about very often. Those interstate compact licensures, like this year the push was marriage counseling, counselors, dietitians. There's a dental hygienist bill pushed up right now at the state level, trying to get those passed. So when a spouse or a soldier's son or daughter might be coming into the community that has that kind of education and certification, say in Montana, that when they come to Kentucky, they can immediately go to work, not have to go through their 6 months of training to get recertified to do the exact same thing just in another state. So there's that, the advocacy piece. The other piece is on the advocacy is going around and talking and informing and educating employers about the veteran community, because there is a risk they take. You know, when you go talk about some of those skilled jobs, they're talking 6 months of training time, and I heard they're going to leave every 2 years. I can't hire somebody in that, and that's not that they don't want to, is that it's just the cost effectiveness. It takes them a while to regain what they put out because their production goes a little lower trying to train somebody new. Then explain to them like, hey, that is some. But you're going to have that 3 to 4 years for a good majority of the thing. And there's a push to kind of have more of a stable home environment for the military. So that's kind of helped stabilize some of the families. But at the end of the day, let's get these spouses to work. We're doing a lot of focus right now and trying to educate the employers, hear what their concerns are. There's a thing out there that says that a soldier is going to go through, just a transitioning service member themselves, not their family, is going to go through 3 jobs in less than a year or 2 years. And a lot of that's because of the education piece. The Fort Campbell Transition Office does a lot to make sure that these soldiers are educated. But at the time, they're so focused on just getting out and what am I going to do with my family next, that maybe some of that information goes in their ear and out the other, right? Trying to slow them down and say, hey, think about this private so-and-so. Think about this captain so-and-so. You're coming out of a field. You're not retiring. So you have a different mentality. You're not going to have the health benefits and all that you have. So when you see a price tag and you think, I'm going to chase the highest price tag I can get, and then you find out that your health insurance is going to cost a third of that, and it would have been cheaper to go to a lower paying job that covered more of the medical cost. And in trying to explain the nuances of coming into the civilian world, it's a challenge because it's different. You can go from one job and just go across the street thinking, okay, they're going to pay me $2 more, and then find out that they're taking $5 more out of your paycheck.
Yeah.
And
A lot
so
of
I think
people
that's
see
what they're
that,
doing
yeah.
is they're coming out a lot of times and they jump into a job. Sometimes it's just because they need a job. Sometimes it's because there's that's the one that's going to pay the best and they need to support their family. And then they realize, wait a minute, now there's state tax, there's federal tax, there's this, there's that.
Yeah.
Which, to be clear, they all get federal tax. A lot of the states don't tax the soldiers while they're serving actively,
Right.
right? But federal tax is always there, Social Security is always there. They're paying every other tax like everybody else.
Right.
The states from state to state will have some kind of pact to say, while you're serving our nation, we're not going to charge you a tax on your income. Kind of like Tennessee, we're great right here. For people that live on the Tennessee side, there's no tax. And for Kentucky, we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're moving
slowly.
fast. And it seems
Well,
like slow. It's slow, but for legislative-wise, right? Legislative-wise, trying to figure out how to make those tax dollars go further
Yeah.
and then bringing it down a little bit.
Yeah.
I think they're doing a good job. I think it's
so.
I'm eager to see if we really make that goal by 2030. I think we will. I think if they keep that
Well, if they keep going the way it's going, they will.
So, but at the end of the day, you know, some of those states are like that, and some other states that do have to charge tax, just like Kentucky, don't tax the veterans. They just don't. When they're serving their nation, now when they do retire, they have what they call tax incentive for their retirement checks.
Right.
So up to 31,000, they'll do the tax exemption. Anything above that, which means that your senior leaders with the most tangible skills and education that we want to come to work in a community, they're the ones getting taxed on their retirement. I mean, it's unfortunate side effects, but it's a small portion of that retirement.
So what initiatives or programs are currently in place to strengthen the military-community relations?
I mean, there's honestly, do we have about 24 days to sit here and talk about it? I don't think 24 hours will be enough. Some of the big initiatives that we're doing is every Thursday we're there when the newcomers come in and they get their briefs from the Fort Campbell. They have a setup where businesses and other interest organizations can come in and set up shop to talk about their local businesses and things. But then they also are very gracious to us as far as the nonprofit realm. They give us one of the very first tables where we can pass out information about our community. We put a magazine together that's primarily developed for them to have easy access to. So say they want a roof right here to Oak Grove. It lists out the resources and phone numbers or emails to contact to turn on their water, their electricity, who provides internet, who provides cable. It's the same thing for Katie's. It's the same thing for Hopkinsville. It's the same thing for somebody that just lives in the county or, you know, and we're starting to really make that stride to Trigg and Todd counties. And they are being so supportive of wanting to be involved and just finding the ways to get them involved. Some of the outreach pieces there, we've been partnering with others to get in and feed the soldiers on Warrior Wednesdays with the USO. That's a very valued partnership. That USO staff is just amazing. They come out and they support the MAC events in the community, the chili cook-offs to try to help. Hey, soldiers, look, you can, participate in this chili cook-off for free. You know, we just want you to be part of the community. You know, and then the other piece of getting the communities come out, like the MWR, the USO, the ones that are captive audiences with the military that are on Fort Campbell, they've all been gracious and been part of those too, and they've been supporting the MAC for a long time. So they're going to tell you, the soldiers, the leaders of Fort Campbell, they'll tell you there is no other place like Fort Campbell as far as community involvement. That's on both sides.
What question did you have for him?
Yeah, so, and we may have even touched on this because we did just kind of go off on some tangents, but
That's okay.
It's okay. Well, I'll ask anyways. Maybe you have a different answer, but what can local governments and businesses do to better support the military personnel and their families?
Be present. I mean,
Good answer.
be present.
That's a good answer.
Number one, be present.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't stress that enough. I mean, if I could write it in the sky and say, be present today, I would. And I'll
That's
tell you,
important. That's very
when
important.
we talked a little earlier about how the Clarksville side has always been a little better about kind of packaging things to show what they do and to kind of showcase how they do things. It's relevant even when we go to small services on base or a change of command. I was at a calendar sync, and Tracy was with me recently. She can testify to this. There's 3 of us from Kentucky in a room full of probably 50
people from Montgomery County.
Correct. You know, and now here's the thing: is what people don't realize is that
as a community hub, right? The community treats the MAC as a hub. It really gives the MAC a lot of responsibility and a lot of faith and a lot of trust, and they put a lot of that in me as a director. So when I go around, I say, hey, just give me your calendars. Give me your calendars. Like, can you make this meeting? No. Okay, give me your calendars. So I was in there representing communities all over Southwest Kentucky. I had a list of events about 50 deep that were like key events. And it's like, well, when you only have one person in 50, 3 people, let's be honest, because 3 people in 50, it kind of paints a picture of that they're not invested. No, they're invested. They just invested a lot of trust and value into the MAC and then into myself. And I'm honored for that. But if I can say it again, I would say, be invested, be present, right? Like if you can, if you have a choice in just stopping and having a cup of coffee or coming on to Fort Campbell for 20 minutes to go to retirement ceremony, that's a man or woman that gave his life for 20 plus years in service of our country, it is worth the 20 minutes. It's worth the 30 minutes.
I mean, you can get the coffee afterwards.
That's it. Like, I will buy you coffee afterwards. And I'll tell you, that's one of the challenges. One of the other things, too, is, this is the nonprofit realm. Thankfully, my wife and I are in a really great situation. She's still a contractor on Fort Campbell. She's still active. She comes, she works all day on Fort Campbell. And a lot of times you'll still see her wearing a MAC tag, sending soldiers off on deployment just like T.C. Freeman, bringing them home just like T.C. Freeman, right there with me and Royce in the middle of the night, knowing that she gets up at 4:30 every morning to be on base at 5:30, 5:45.
And I have got to say, you and your wife was right there from spring to summer last year with all that storm damage. You guys were right there, knee deep in the mud and the and the rain and stuff, and helping
Picking
us.
up
So
all the
thank
tents
you,
and
again for all your help and your support, because you support us as well.
Well, I tell you, when I say I found a home here, I mean that. I am not in any way, shape, or form. I had no ties to Fort Campbell prior to 2008 timeframe. When I came here and I felt community presence and I felt like, man, these people care, I knew it. And I knew coming back, this is going to be home and this is it. And it actually, honestly, really worked out because my family's up in Michigan. My wife's family's over in Knoxville. So it's a little bit closer to her family, but they are a little bit older, so it kind of helps, But we're certainly help we can get to them if we really need to in less than a day or less than half a day's driving time, right? But we're happy. Our kids are happy. They're striving in school. They're doing amazing. I couldn't be happier for them. But to give back to our community is just an honor to us.
Yeah.
To give back to the Fort Campbell community at the same time is an honor. It's kind of.
And when you talk, you're so excited too. You're so proud, and that is you can see that. And you can hear that. And I think that's very special because a lot of people, they can talk about something and it's like a fakey thing, but you are.
You can always tell when someone has a passion
and you have
a
that
true
passion.
love.
You have that passion, and and it shows. And it shows the job that you're doing, and it's a great job. So I'm going to lead into this next question of, so what events right now, besides the policy and stuff, what events do you have coming up for the military affairs?
So we got a lot going on. This is a very busy time of the year. I am ripping my hair out every day right now, but I tell you, it's in a good manner. My phone starts going about 6:30 in the morning and it doesn't stop until about 10, 11 o'clock at night right now.
Wow.
And it's just everything. A lot of efforts right now on the advocacy piece, both state and federal, especially with the legislation session going on right now. We're getting ready to go on. So it's a very heavy impact day for me. On March 4th, we got the Eagle Ambassador Breakfast. That's that accountability. That's the, hey, this is what we did. This is where we're going as a MAC, as a community. This is how we're going to do more. Please support, right? That link, if you're not involved, that link is live. If you look up Christian County Military Affairs, you'll go to that page and you'll see a picture of me. But you'll be able to watch the video that we put together that showed not last year's events. I haven't released that one yet, right? It'll be released at the Eagle Ambassador Breakfast, but the year prior, and it was such a great video. I love that. I'm so proud of that video. I'll be honest with you, but if you watch that video and then just read the kind of mission statement, and then if you're really think you want to be involved and be an Eagle Ambassador, at the bottom there's just a very easy link. You don't even have to call me. You don't have to text me. By all means, my information to contact me is right there, and my cell phone's on all day long with ideas.
Show the support.
But I have that going on, and then that night, not even that night, just a couple hours later, so I'm gonna barely get things cleaned up, and then I'm jumping in a vehicle to go to Nashville to get to DC for the rest of the week to sit with legislators. And I'm telling you, it's amazing how they respond. Like we talked earlier, they're just, they want to know what's going on at Fort Campbell. They can't get here all the time, but they want to know. They want to know how we can do better at supporting the soldiers and families. They want to be involved and they want to be informed. So like Senator Rand Paul, very first one, Shannon, I want to see you. Let's do it this time, whatever.
Good.
All right, and then the next one is Comer. Comer's right out. Boom. Okay, well, we got to do it. We got to do it this day. Okay, no worries.
Right.
All right, and then the others kind of trickled in.
That's that's good. That's their
Hale Rogers, right there.
Good.
So, they're all lining up over that 3-day period. So we're just going to advocate. We're going to spend a lot of time making sure that the needs of Fort Campbell are heard.
Right.
And then right after that, I got the Dignity. As you know, we have a great partnership. The Hopkinsville side has deemed themselves the sister city to Carrington, France.
I knew that.
Yeah. So, and we take.
Are you going to France?
We
or-
did that last year. We went there with the 101st. We
So
went
they're
side
are
by
they coming
side.
here
They're
this
coming
year?
back here
Okay.
this year, and they're going to come and spend a week with us in this community and on Fort Campbell, and we get to show them all the wonderful things
Good,
of what's
good.
happening and how they support the soldiers over there. And I'll tell you, that's an experience. If you haven't been over to France and at Normandy, at Utah Beach during that time, that is, I'm telling you, that's not, you can't even put a price tag on it. You just cannot. That experience is just amazing.
Yeah.
So I would encourage, I think every American, not just soldiers, every American should go see what a grateful nation truly looks like.
That's like when we went to New York
Yeah.
and we went to the 9/11 museum.
Yes.
And it was like, oh.
Very humbling, actually.
is.
It was amazing,
It
but
was.
very, yeah.
So, well, yeah, we got museum coordinators, business partners. We got the mayor, the deputy mayor.
Nice.
They got all kinds of people coming on that
Oh, good.
on their little
good.
dignitary
When,
trip.
and
So
when is that?
that's
What-
March 18th to
March-
the 23rd, and so we're housing some of them in our house.
Okay,
So I'll be
okay,
running them around for a
okay,
week.
cool.
And then I got a couple other things going on between the time I get back in that I'm trying to just figure out how to fit and where to fit, sitting with the next new business owner, the next new advocate, the next new, how do I get involved, right? Like I am down to sit with anybody. I don't care if you're on third shift, call me.
Yeah.
I'll come meet you at 2:00 in the morning at
Yeah.
Denny's and have breakfast or dinner or whatever it is for you to be able to hear what we're doing and how to do it.
See, it goes back to his passion.
So
Yeah.
It goes back to his passion.
And that actually leads right into the last question here on how can civilians and veterans get involved in supporting military-related initiatives?
can we go right back to be present? Right?
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Yeah.
No, I mean, serious. I have so many things on my plate to go through and do, and it just doesn't shut off. I just have that type of brain where I can go on, and I can just get that pot and melt it together and try to mold something new. And that's really what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to mold this community along with all of our key partners into something just amazing. And it's already great. To take something that's already great and just make it even better. That's the true power of this community, is to continue to strive to be better, to be more supportive. So to get involved, just looking up Christian County Military Affairs, after you watch that amazing video, scroll down to the bottom and say where it says "Become an Eagle Ambassador today." All right, fill that out. Become an Eagle Ambassador. If I'll tell you, I value time more than anything.
Come show up, volunteer
I do. I value
know?
time. I can't say be present enough.
Yeah.
But if you're in that situation, you're a retiree, and you're just like, I just got all the time in the world, but I don't really have the capital to just 101. That's just too much. That's okay. I don't need your 101. I need the soldiers of Fort Campbell. I need the leaders of Fort Campbell, and know that our community is there for them.
Do you have a
Show
problem
up.
with like getting volunteers to come out and do anything? I mean,
No,
people
I tell
that
you,
don't know. I mean, I know that you have a great committee, but other people coming out and volunteering and just being there and being, showing up and being active with, engaging with military affairs.
So I'll tell you, when they find out about military affairs, it's amazing to me that there's just certain corners of our community didn't even know that military affairs really existed. And I'm
It's crazy because it's
almost
been here for so
shocked.
many years.
That's it.
It's
It's
crazy.
like, and that's what I'm saying is we just, at times in the past, we probably just didn't do well enough at being out there and being involved in things, as far as they knew the chili cook-off happened every year. All right. They knew the Veterans Day parade happened every year. Mm-hmm. They knew this
right.
event happened every year. This event happened every year. They see the hometown hero banners, but nowhere on any of the on the banners does it say military affairs. You'll see it at the chili cook-off, and you'll see me talk up there and award the winners. But it just doesn't sink in until they just are in the right place, the right time, and talking about it with the right person. Mm-hmm. The best thing we can do as a committee and as a community is just kind of talk about it. Hey, did you know about the military affairs?
Right.
You know what's going on? Did you see who won the chili cook-off for the military affairs, because a lot of times it just becomes, did you see who won the chili cook-off? Right? The military affairs kind of falls off of that, and that's okay because that's a normal thing. But having that passion to really say military affairs, that's something they've been putting on for all these years, and they've been there, being an advocate, getting the fire department out there, bringing Oak Grove up there to be part of it, doing this, doing that. The Hands for Heroes.
Yes.
Right, Hands for Heroes is
Yes.
coming up.
I was going to ask about
Like,
the
let's
Hands
not
for
forget about that.
Heroes.
That's a huge
Yeah.
one. You know, and again,
That's
we talked
huge.
about that partnership earlier.
We stood out there once in the rain.
We did. We
Yeah.
stood out there
To
giving
open
hams to
for
the heroes and stuff. It was,
And that's
And there
really
was a lot of
for
volunteers that day. I mean,
there
we
is,
were
and
really
those
surprised,
volunteers
yeah.
came from everywhere.
It did. I thought it was beautiful.
There's people from Trigg County,
Yes.
Christian
Yep.
County, from
Yep.
right here in Oak
Yep.
Grove. They had the fire truck all the way down here
was
from
cool.
Hopkinsville. We had people from Crofton. I think we even had if I remember, I have to go back and look. I think even Tiffany Groves, which is the chamber president for Todd County down
Wow.
here. You know, so we really had a Southwest Kentucky presence right
We
here.
may just have to have Pearl the squirrel show up.
I would love that.
Pearl the
You
squirrel.
guys
would
have
be,
to come. I know you guys plan on being there anyways. You guys are huge supporters, and I
We are.
appreciate
We're
it.
really big
But we
supporters.
have to have your new mascot.
Yeah,
down there.
we
have
Pearl
to.
the squirrel is
Because I'm gonna be dressed up as a pig, as
Oh,
we
yes,
always
yes,
are,
yes,
right?
yes.
We can get Pearl and the pig together.
Yes,
Pearl and
come
the
on.
pig together.
April 17th.
April 17th.
And that's gonna be
I'll put
that's
it-
gonna
yeah,
be
I'm gonna put it in
from
my calendar, right?
that's
Yeah.
gonna be from 11 to 1. Will be open only to the active duty soldiers and their families.
Okay, we just gotta make
For
that,
that
out on our
first 2
Facebook page
hours.
as well. Yeah.
The first 2 hours, active duty
Duty
soldiers
soldiers.
and their families.
Okay.
And then after 1 o'clock, it opens up to all veterans.
Okay, nice.
So
And you have to have your ID card and all that, or you have to sign up?
no,
How does-
you don't have to sign. Just
no,
show up, and
with an
it's first come, first serve.
Okay.
Like I said, I know that kind of for some veterans, we're like, well, this is really to honor the ones that are serving now.
No, that's right.
We want to honor you, but at the
And
end of the
that's,
day,
you know, and-
this is
You know what, Shannon? That's just like when we do our spring to summer, we have the military baskets.
Yes.
You know, a lot of people say, well, we're veterans. Well, this is for, right now, this is for our active
That's it.
duty. We're showing,
you know what great community
Yes,
this is.
yeah,
This is
yeah.
these are the soldiers and the families that are just
Yeah.
moving here. They don't know. They haven't been out and
Yeah.
about and exposed to all the different resources. There's a ton of resources
Right.
in this community.
Right.
You know, so this is just an easy way to make sure that the young soldiers specifically are having a good meal for Easter. That they're not sitting there scraping up pennies trying to figure out how they're going to buy Easter
Exactly.
eggs and a
Right.
ham. You
Right.
know, they're like, well, maybe we'll have peanut butter and jelly so our kids go hunt for
Right.
eggs. Well, why don't you have both and why don't you
That's
let us
right.
help you?
That's right.
Come out, Oak Grove Racing Gaming, not to the casino side, come to the horse track side. We'll be right there at the Equestrian Center.
Yep.
And you'll know because you'll see, I'm sure we're going to get one of the fire trucks out there with a big old American
that's
flag
what they did
again.
the last time they had the ball stretched
You
out.
Let's
know,
just
but-
hope the weather is good, because when we went out there, the weather was woo.
And then Military
But you know
Child
what?
Nights right afterwards.
Yeah.
It
On the
was-
22nd of April, we're going to have
where
Military
is that?
Child
Is
Night.
that for the bowling?
That's
or?
at the bowling for,
Okay.
and again, it'll be, and it's not just the Christian County Public Schools. I want to make, last year we had one of our private schools say, that's an amazing program. We want to do it. And Heritage Christian Academy up there on the bypass started up a bowling team, and they're doing great too.
Wow. Okay.
So now we have 3 schools right here in Christian County, all doing the bowling teams and doing great things. And I think they're
Nice.
even going to be up at the Junior Golds qualifier on Sunday, which my son will be there too.
Okay.
But just to have the proud dad moment, right? My son's going to be in there too. But the truth is that they're going to be up there. They're involved. They're out there. They're doing these things, and so there's that. The next big thing going on, and as you know, Tracy, you've been around the Military Affairs Committee. It says Military Affairs Committee, but at the end of the day, when we have the right time and the right resources in place to honor our first responders, we do so. And usually we have that Military Affairs First Responder Night at the fair where we pay for all the first responders and military connected people to get into the fair.
I think that's wonderful.
This year, we're stepping it up. We're stepping it up. During the Red, White, and Booze event out there at Casey Jones on the July 4th weekend.
Booze event.
Yes. We're going to have on July 5th,
Okay.
the day after the 4th of July, we're going to have a military affairs and first responder social.
Nice.
There's going to be a
okay.
special bourbon or cinnamon whiskey drop going on too. So I think this is their first cinnamon whiskey that they've done. So I'm excited. Casey Jones always done a great job. And plus, I live out in the county, and
There you go.
being near there,
There you
I
go.
love to visit because they bring out some of the best food trucks in the world.
Yep.
I mean, they brought Maine lobster all the way down here.
Oh
I
my
love
gosh,
that.
I love lobster. Lobster is probably my favorite. I mean,
But-
it's
Yeah,
my favorite
I-
seafood.
So that
I
one will
love
be
lobster,
on.
too.
That one will be on July 5th. I haven't. There's some other ones coming up, but I haven't really put the date on. And I haven't pushed the flyer for the July 5th one. But if you have a passion for first responders, if you're a first responder, you're hearing this. Trust me, I'm talking to your leadership. I'm talking to the fire chief. I'm talking to the police chief. I'm talking to the sheriff. They're going to all be invited out, right? We want them all to be part of this social.
Right.
We got the Fort Campbell leadership invited out. We got some requests to Fort Campbell. We're expecting and hoping that the Army Band is going to join us that night.
there you go.
So if you haven't seen the Fort Campbell Army Band, phenomenal. They did an amazing job in our community performing this last year, and they went all over the place. They went on a tour and did amazing. But we're hoping to have them out there is what it sounds like.
Good.
The support seems to be there. So
Well, we're just going to have you back.
Yeah.
absolutely. There's just so much
Yeah,
going
there's
on.
just so
But
much going on.
those are the big highlights of really what's coming on. So
Well, we appreciate you so much for joining us today at the Gossip in the Grove. And we're going to be right back with Lee Sanchez with the Gossip of the Week.
nice.
This is Lee with Gossip of the Week.
So we're going to talk about Oak Grove's weather.
Is it only Oak Grove's weather?
It's the only one that seems to have all the issues going on. Inclement highs, lows, freezing temps. One day it's raining, the next day it's snowing.
Hey, don't forget the tornado warnings.
Yeah.
Don't forget
Well, wait
it
a
all.
minute. Before that, wasn't it like 60 degrees, 70 degrees before we got the rain and then the snow? And then
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
just drivers, please watch where you're going. This weather doesn't know how to make up its mind. So just be very careful when traveling. Because Oak Grove, it has its times, really beautiful days where the birds are flying and they're singing, and then the next day they're freezing. So that's definitely the news of the week for Oak Grove, Gossip in the Grove podcast.
Is that all you got, Lee?
The weather, I mean, you really can't even do
You just
much.
don't like the weather, now, do you?
Did you ever find anything else out about last week's gossip?
Yeah, about the
the
Wonder
truck?
Truck?
The truck is gone. It's underneath the water. Aquaman's in there. That thing is done. Yeah. So last week, we talked about the truck being in a remote area
That was halfway underwater.
that was already halfway underwater. Now it's all the way underwater.
And somebody had called it the Wonder Truck.
The Wonder Truck.
I
I wonder where it's at now.
Of the week is Lee's weather.
That's all I got for you guys. Next week, hopefully, gets a little bit more spicy.
Now, Scarlett, you want to tell our listeners where they can go to listen to us?
Yeah, if you're already listening, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so that you can stay on top of our podcast and get the latest episode every week. Share it with all your friends, family, and everybody so they can also listen. We're on all the local ones, not just the one you're listening on. We're on Apple and Spotify and everything. So yeah, just make sure you hit that subscribe button, like it, comment, give us some ideas. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah. And again, I want to thank our special guest, Shannon Lane from Military Affairs, Director from Christian County. Thank you again, Shane, for joining us.
It was a pleasure.
Okay.